The Vectrex is one of the coolest retro systems ever. In my opinion, anyway. It's a video game console that was only available from 1983 to 1984 and has its own built-in monitor. It's called the Vectrex because instead of pixels, it displays vector graphics, which was totally different for the time. And part of what makes it so cool are its accessories. So let's talk about the Vectrex Light Pen and the Vectrex 3D Imager. The Vectrex Light Pen is the high-performance accessory that transports creativity and learning into the computer age. Well, that is a bold statement to put on the box. The Light Pen allows you to interact directly with the Vectrex's built-in screen. With it, you can create drawings, animations, and even compose music. They also advertise being able to play educational games with it, so I bet they were planning to release more games than just the 4, which we'll get to in a minute. In order to use the Light Pen, you also have to have the main Vectrex controller plugged in because you'll need to press some buttons on the controller as well. But besides that, you just plug and play. There were 4 games that were compatible with the Light Pen: Art Master, Melody Master, and Atom Action. There was a 4th game called Mail Plane, which was an educational game about American geography. I've read that this wasn't ever officially released, but then I do see some on eBay, so I'm a little bit confused. If you know if this was actually officially released or not, please let me know in the comments because I'm curious to know. Art Master was the game that I was the most excited to play when I first got the Light Pen. In this game, you can draw and animate your creations. It's more of an introduction to animating on the Vectrex than the more advanced game, Atom Action. The instruction manual really pumps you up by saying Art Master is a high-performance, state-of-the-art experience that takes you into a world of art exploration you've never seen before. Damn. You don't need to touch the pen directly onto the screen. You just have to hold your pen at a close distance and point it in the direction you want to move your lines or cursor. To draw a line, you aim your pen while holding down button 1. The moment you let go of button 1, then the drawing stops. It's really not that easy to draw on this thing, but it works. You could also make fan designs while holding down button 4. This was a satisfying way to make a quick and easy design. Then, while using the Connect feature, you can make a design using dots and then watch as the Vectrex fills the lines in for you. It's much more fun than it sounds. When it comes to the animation feature, this took me a while to get the hang of it, but once I did, it wasn't too tedious. You first make starting points by pressing down button 1. Then, by pressing button 3 and hitting next, you can adjust your drawings because it's a new frame. I did this a few times before pressing play to make a very simple little animation. This program is really limited, but it is pretty cool. This animation reminds me of a screensaver. Atom Action is more involved, described in the manual as the first video craft of its kind that enables you to create and animate your own art like never before. It lets you create any scene using pre-drawn figures and shapes, and then combine those with other figures, backgrounds, and scenery you draw yourself. That all sounds amazing, but we'll see how easy it is to actually pull off. I like that they have pre-made sprites you can choose from, and they have a lot. I also like that you can mix in sprites you made yourself if you choose to. I just used pre-made sprites for this really simple animation, but I like it. I'd like to spend more time with this to create some cooler animations and add in backgrounds. Melody Master is another Light Pen game described on the box as a unique approach to music composition and education. Join the electronic revolution and let your own musical creativity come to life. You can create your own melodies and piano or flute sounds, and for rhythm you can add a snare drum or cymbal sound. I don't know how to read actual sheet music, just tabs, so this game really isn't for me, unfortunately. But if you can read music and have a Vectrex, then I totally recommend it. The booklet has a lot of information in it about how to read music, so that helps a little bit. For the game aspect, you can learn the notes and keyboard with a little guy called the Songman. The more notes you can recognize in a row, the higher your score. And now let's move on to the Vectrex 3D Imager. Before the Virtual Boy, there was the Vectrex 3D Imager. According to the box, it's the high-performance accessory that transports gameplay into the 3rd dimension. And that it does. It was actually the first 3D video game accessory to ever be released, which I think is pretty cool. It's described as being sleek and high-tech, which it definitely was for its time, but it's not that comfortable. It's pretty awkward to wear, and there really isn't any place for your nose to go. So it kind of just squishes against your face, but it does work. I already thought the Vectrex did a good job of drawing in the player with its standard screen overlays, but the fact that they had actual 3D goggles really takes it to the next level. You just plug it into the Vectrex, much like the light pen, and it works, so it's an easy setup. There's a little color wheel inserted into the headpiece that would spin while the game runs. It's half black and half a color, but the whole thing is translucent. The vector images are drawn twice on the screen to give a sense of depth. So this, along with the spinning disc, gives the 3D effect. There were 3 games released for the 3D Imager: 3D Mindstorm, 3D Crazy Coaster, and 3D Narrow Escape. There was going to be a 3D version of Pole Position, but that unfortunately was never actually released. That bums me out because I actually really loved the Vectrex port of Pole Position, and it would have been really cool to see what a 3D version would have been like. Anyway, 3D Mindstorm comes bundled with the 3D Imager, which I find fitting, since regular Mindstorm is the game that comes built into the Vectrex system. Just like the original game, the transport lanes of intergalactic space have been seeded with mines from an alien vessel. You have to destroy the mines and the alien vessel in order to progress. You move your ship with the joystick and use button 3 to thrust forward. I suck at this game and tend to fly around all willy-nilly, but it's still fun. You can dart your ship out of the way of an oncoming enemy by pressing buttons 1 or 2, which comes in handy. It's a fun new way to experience the classic Vectrex game. 3D Crazy Coaster was the 3D game that I was the most excited to play. It's described as a roller coaster ride that'll make you scream in excitement. I've never screamed while playing the Vectrex, but there's a first time for everything. The magic of 3D makes the ride so real you'll be leaning against the G-force and hanging on for dear life. Well, after playing it, I was pretty impressed with the graphics. It's a pretty good coaster simulator and the 3D looks awesome, which I wish I could show you. I guess the pictures on the back of the box give you a pretty good idea of what it looks like. The goal of this game is to ride the roller coaster as fast and as far as possible. You can raise your hands up in the air, grab the lap bar, and even duck to avoid objects, like birds. But what's kind of terrifying is that you can get knocked off the coaster and fall off, which results in a pretty funny animation. This is why you have to use the joystick to lean into turns and avoid birds and flying ice cream cones. In each game you have 4 passengers, and for every passenger that flies off the ride you lose time. Once all of your passengers have fallen to their death, the game is over. Absolutely brutal. 3D Narrow Escape has you enter the stellar fortress of a 23rd century warlord to destroy the powerful arsenal it contains and liberate the star system. The passages encircle you in 3D terror while the defense systems of the fortress become increasingly more menacing. Your goal is to navigate through narrow passageways without slamming into walls, hence the name Narrow Escape. This game is pretty fun, but I was having trouble seeing double with this one, which made it a bit hard for me to see where to aim when shooting. Well, there you have it, a look at some games for the Vectrex Light Pen and the 3D Imager. Which games did you think looked the coolest? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time, bye!